Hey there, I am D. Transformers: Dark of the Moon. To briefly summarize the first two movies, the first was decent, the second was horrible. So much so I didn't even want to see this third movie. But then it turns out that even Michael Bay himself didn't like the second movie, and well, if so, then whatever mistakes he made with the second, he might avoid those in the third. So okay, I went to see it anyway. And how did it fare? Where do I begin? First off, the first one firmly established that Earth was a planet that was previously unknown to the Transformers. The second established they might have been wrong. Now, I can live with both of those, but then the third implied that some ship crashed on our moon. I'm sorry, were we supposed to buy that? That by some strange coincidence, so anything Transformers related is for some reason attracted to our planet? I can't buy it. Among other things from this movie that I can't buy, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, later in the movie it'll be explained why it is that the ship crashed on our moon. So it wasn't as much of a coincidence as we would previously assume. Which is okay, I guess, but if you explain it that late in the movie, then by then I'm pretty sure people wouldn't have cared much about the movie anymore. I mean, I didn't. But okay, I will admit, like I said, whatever mistakes Bay made with the second, he tried to avoid that in the third, and well, I'll admit there are enough, decent enough plot twists in this movie. But I'll still say there are massive plot holes, and a lot of things that there are times when this movie seems to contradict not just the first two movies, but even itself. I mean, for one thing, it implies that the Autobots needed a spaceship to get here. And what about those meteor things we saw in the first two movies? I mean, where does that come from? They suddenly need a spaceship. And then there's this... Well, it's in this movie, for the first time in the Transformers movies, Optimus Prime suddenly has his trailer. His infamous trailer that in the cartoons would always disappear and reappear every time he transforms. Yeah, a lot of jokes can be made about that one, but in this case the trailer seems to be some kind of carrier for all of Prime's weapons. Which is okay, I guess, but actually, this even leads me to another problem in this movie. I mean, at some point this trailer of his is somehow snatched away by the Decepticons. And of course Prime needs them back. At some point he gets his weapons back. But how? Beats me, I didn't see it. One moment his trailer is snatched away, the next he has some weapon that was in his trailer. At another moment, the Transformers, the Autobots seem to be captured by the Decepticons. Okay, how did that happen? Again, we didn't see it. For a movie that relies on a lot of visual effects, it doesn't really show us much. But here's another thing that kind of bugs me. So at some point you have Megatron who, well, let's just say he wants to take over our world, wants to be the leader of Cybertron, and you know, all that usual supervillain riff. But anyway, there's this other antagonist who then would would tell Megatron, "No, you will be my personal slave. I shall be the ruler." And guess who? The character Carly has to talk to Megatron and tell him, "Oh, do you really want to be his lapdog for the rest of your life?" I'm pretty sure that Megatron would have come to that conclusion himself. He doesn't need anyone to tell him that. Oh, and while I'm on the subject of Carly, another thing that you have to explain, somebody has to explain to me. Okay, I can understand if Megan Fox, the actress who portrayed Michaela in the first two movies, if she didn't want to be in this movie, okay, can't be helped. But then in this movie they had to explain how or why she broke up with Witwicky. His explanation, that she didn't accept him for who he was. I'm dead serious. I'm sorry, but he was of the less popular crowd, whereas she was of the more popular crowd. The fact that these two got together already means that she does accept him for who he is. So, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying that excuse. And now, since we're talking about the humans now, I'll admit, if there's one thing about this movie I do kinda like, it's that... Well, so the Decepticons are taking us over, the Autobots can't really help us much. I mean, the Autobots are outnumbered, how could they? So they kinda needed our help. That may be downgrading on the Autobots on the one hand, but on the other hand it also means that do we really have to rely on other sources all the time? Can't we just rely on our own strength? Like, prove to ourselves that we can fight back, that we are much stronger than we would give ourselves credit for. That, I suppose, I gotta admire. What I can't understand is that... Okay, first let me explain this. So, there are characters in this movie who decided to work along with the Decepticons. Which is, I suppose, with some people being megalomaniacs and business people, I suppose I can kind of understand why they would want to work with the Decepticons. But what I can't understand is, once the Decepticons start killing people, shouldn't that ring an alarm bell to some of these folks? Like decide, oh, maybe I'm wrong. And go, oh, maybe they're gonna kill me at the very least. Apparently not. But also, if the Decepticons need us as our slaves, why do they keep killing people off? Altogether, I'll admit, this movie was better than the second, yes. This was D. I'm signing off.